Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. I just wanna say that I've had a pretty rough week. I had my PMDD kicked my ass at the beginning of the week, and just when I was like feeling a little better, then my chronic migraines hit. It's been a rough week, so if I sound a little low energy today or I'm like slurring my words a little bit, just know that I've had a rough week and I'm tired. I haven't slept much. I've mostly just been napping because I can't fall asleep for too long. But I still wanted to get this recorded today since I'm not gonna sleep anyways. This might be a long video because the script came out really long, so I don't know how long it's gonna be, but if it's long, then just now, grab a snack. I'm sure you can see how long it is. So I've been meaning to do an art conspiracy theory video for a while now, and I put a poll on Twitter to see when my next video will be, and I was very excited to see this one. So follow me on Twitter if you'd like to be part of future polls. Anyways, I didn't want to just go into the most well-known art conspiracy theories like the ones that say the Mona Lisa in the Louvre is a fake or alien UFOs on different art pieces. If there's a specific art conspiracy theory you would like me to talk about, I'll gladly dedicate a video to that though. So just let me know in the comments. If you don't know this about me, I like to dig into lighthearted conspiracy theories from time to time and just have some harmless fun. I know some theories get super wild, dark, and out there, and this video is not a lot about that, I think. At least not today. We're not gonna get like too wild. These ones are mostly tame. I found this article that I thought was very interesting, and I thought today we could discuss the art conspiracy theories in it. I'll leave the link to the entire article in the description if anyone wants to give it a look, as well as to any other sources I use in this video because I used a bunch. This article is called Like the Da Vinci Code? Try these 9 weird conspiracy theories about art. The title was very confusing to me at first because I was like, wait, how old is this article? Because the Da Vinci Code movie came out in like 2006. I read the book like a year before the movie came out, maybe more than a year. I read Angels and Demons first, then I read the Da Vinci Code. And I think it was definitely the start of my love for conspiracy theories, even though as an adult, I can't say they're my favorite books or movies in any way. I was obsessed with them as a teenager. But yeah, I was confused at the reference because it's such an old reference. I hardly hear anyone mention Dan Brown's work these days, but maybe that's just me. And the second part that confused me was the try these part, because like, this isn't a 5-minute crafts video or troom, like what exactly am I trying out? Like, am I gonna try out these conspiracy theories? Am I gonna be a part of them? Okay, but enough of me overanalyzing and roasting the title as usual, and let's get into the actual article, which I'm gonna be heavily referencing, but I'm also picking up some extra stuff that is not completely clear to me, and I found like some, I don't want to say mistakes, but like some contradicting information between what the article said and what other sources said, especially on dates. So I'm not mentioning that many dates unless I find them relevant, although I'm pretty sure I added some dates around there. Anyways, links in the description, and if anything is wrong, please feel free to correct me. I took 2 art history classes, but that's not enough sometimes. The first conspiracy theory we're going to be talking about is that Michelangelo immortalized Mary Magdalene in marble, not the Virgin Mary. Y'all know good old Michelangelo, not the Ninja Turtle one, the Renaissance one? Well, he has a marble statue called Pietà, which I quickly googled and it says it means pity in English. In Spanish is piedad, and I kind of see it more as mercy or compassion. Pity sounds like a little weird to me, but whatever. It depicts Jesus' body after crucifixion, supposedly on the arms of his mother, Virgin Mary. Now here's the theory. Jesus was 33 years old when he died, right? But Mary does not look too much older than him. Now, they say it's because Mary is always depicted in an idolized way, but this art historian called Cinzia Chiari, I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm sorry, doesn't think so. Apparently, Chiari is known for many biblical conspiracies, and she says that it's not Virgin Mary, but Mary Magdalene, the one depicted in this sculpture. If you read the Da Vinci Code or into deleted stories from the Bible, supposedly Mary Magdalene was Jesus' wife. Now this article says that Michelangelo is just placing Mary Magdalene back in her place in history since she was present during the crucifixion. So just maybe Michelangelo wanted to show her sadness toward Jesus' death. Another interesting thing is that in 2010, a terracotta model was discovered that shows Cupid was originally supposed to be in the scene too. Except there's no actual evidence Michelangelo made this model, but according to experts, nobody else would have been bold enough to depict a Greek god in a sculpture for the Vatican. Now, if this is true and Cupid was originally supposed to be there, it would make sense that it's Mary Magdalene instead of Virgin Mary. My opinion, saying Virgin Mary looks too young compared to Jesus is probably not accurate. It was Jewish custom in those times to be betrothed at the age of 12. Yikes. And there's apocryphal accounts that state that Mary was around 12 when she married Joseph, which means that Mary was, let's say, 12, 13 years old max when she gave birth to Jesus. So she would have been around 46 years old. I don't think that's too much older, like 33 and 46. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not good at telling people's ages. Like, she wasn't an old lady when Jesus died is what I'm trying to say. Now, looking at the statue, Virgin Mary or Mary Magdalene, whoever it is, does look young, but how old was Mary Magdalene anyway? Because I always had this impression she was older than Jesus for some reason, or around the same age as Mary, but maybe that's all the shitty whitewash movies I was forced to watch as a kid, I don't know. I think the statue might also look too young to be Mary Magdalene in my humble opinion. Maybe I'm giving this too much thought, but personally, it makes more sense for Virgin Mary to be depicted young, like the statue looks like someone in their 20s or younger to me, than Mary Magdalene. I also want to note that I googled Ciencia Chiari and didn't find much info about all of this, but what do I know? Just know that I can find a lot of this though. The second theory is titled, Michelangelo also thumbed his nose at the church in the Sistine Chapel. Once again, talking about good old Michelangelo, it seems. I swear the Sistine Chapel has so many conspiracy theories. I could make a whole video about them. Now, if you don't know, Michelangelo did one of his greatest works at the Sistine Chapel, a painting that depicts the book of Genesis. Now, this part of the article talks about something that was actually pretty common for the times as far as I know, which is using corpses to learn anatomy. We have anatomy books nowadays, but how did you think they did it back then? Who do you think made the books? How did you think they made the books? So at age 17, Michelangelo dissected corpses to learn about human anatomy. We aren't really sure whether these corpses were donated to him or if he was a grave robber, but I would bet on the latter, honestly. With these bodies, he will create anatomical sketches, and according to this theory, they were all hidden in the Sistine Chapel's painting. Why were they hidden? Well, because the Vatican forbids such a morbid task, even if it was for anatomical accuracy. I'm not going to discuss whether I think that was right or wrong. Let's just move on. In the year 1990, Dr. Frank Meshberger, a gynecologist at St. John's Medical Center in Anderson, Indiana, spotted what seems to be an illustration of the human brain in the central panel of God creating Adam. But it wasn't until 2010 when Ian Silk, a medical illustrator, and Rafael Tamargo, a neurosurgeon, found an actual illustration of the spinal cord and brainstem in the separation of light and darkness, forming God's throat. There's a whole very interesting article about it. I'll link it down below if you want to know more. Experts don't really know if these illustrations were intentional, but there's tons of conspiracies surrounding it. Apparently, Michelangelo was rather disenchanted with the church since he believed in being able to directly communicate with God. Also, knowing he had an interest in science, which was seen in the same level as witchcraft back then, maybe he just wanted to mock the church just a little bit. I don't know if this is true or not, obviously, but I hope it is, because the idea of Michelangelo poking fun at the Catholic Church just seems like a lot of fun to me. Now, this one I thought was very interesting, and is that British artist Walter Sicker was Jack the Ripper, and he painted scenes of his murders. Okay, so moving away from the Renaissance and Michelangelo for a second, we got into some true crime. Jack the Ripper, in case you don't know, is one of the most known serial killers ever. He was active in 1888 in impoverished areas in the Whitechapel district in London. There were 5 victims known as the canonical 5, but there's also theories that there might have been more, and that he might move to another place and killed more people in other places. So anyways, they were all sex workers. The murders were thought to be connected and never solved, and his identity till this day is a mystery. There are so many suspects and theories surrounding these murders, and this article poses a rather interesting one. In 2001, novelist Patricia Cornwell, in her book Reaper, The Secret Life of Walter Sickert added a new suspect to the list. Walter Sickert was famous for painting nudes and nightlife scenes of landers and lower orders in London. Cornwall says these paintings, which she bought 32 of those paintings to prove her point, are the evidence. The Camden Town murders are a series of paintings created in 1908 that were inspired by the murder of sex workers in Camden. I'm not going to show you these paintings on the video because I feel YouTube won't like it, but you can Google them if you want. They're not awfully graphic, but just know that, well, they were inspired by murder, so don't say I didn't warn you. I'm going to quote from the article here. Cornwall claims that paintings are too similar to the autopsy photos of the Ripper's victim to be a coincidence. She even had one of them torn up looking for evidence. DNA samples from 2 letters, one allegedly written by the Ripper and another by Sickert, were taken, and there weren't any matches between them. But 2 of the letters have the same unusual watermark. It must be known, though, that Sickert's father was a stationer, so he probably just coincidentally supplied the same paper for both of them. He supplied tons of people with paper after all. I don't know about this. There's just not a lot of evidence from what I can see about this, although I haven't read her book. I think while it's interesting that some of the autopsy photos match, I was looking through these paintings and they don't seem to be very specific in my opinion. I also think there's other people in the suspect list that have way more evidence than Sickert, but this is not a Jack the Ripper video, so I'm not going to get into that. But the truth is, we will probably never know his true identity. But I just think it's always interesting to read new theories about him. Okay, the next theory is that the Mona Lisa contains a hidden code in her eyes. Well, it seems it was only a small break from the Renaissance before we're back. Now, as I mentioned before, the Mona Lisa is surrounded with tons of conspiracies, so a list about them without her is not surprising. In this particular case, we have a claim by Italy's National Committee for Cultural Heritage. They say that there's a secret message in this painting. Tiny numbers and letters on her eyes that can only be seen by magnifying high-resolution images of the painting. LV appears in the right, and some figures that are hard to understand are on her left eye. Experts say that the letters are very difficult to see, so did Da Vinci put them in there so nobody would see them, or did he imagine a future with technology that will be able to see the hidden messages? How did he even do that? Like, how do you draw tiny letters that can only be seen with special technology that wasn't invented back then? That's what I don't understand. I searched a little more and found that Silvano Vicenti, an Italian researcher, claims to have found the letter S in the left eye and the letter L in her right eye and the number 72 under the arch bridge in the backdrop. So I'm confused. Wasn't it an LV? This is what I mean that I found contradicting information outside of the article. There seems to be a ton of little discoveries like these that I just don't understand the point. Like, what does this change? What does it mean? And the more I read about it, I'm just like, okay. Apparently the S might refer to a woman in the Sforza dynasty that ruled Milan, where Da Vinci hung out for a bit. This is apparently relevant because it might change what we thought of when he began the painting. Is that relevant though? Like, if he started the painting a little bit earlier or later than we thought, does that change anything? And the L apparently is for Leonardo. Very clever. I'm just like, well, put an S and have it represent this woman and then just write an L for his name? And we put it in her eye so tiny so nobody can see it? Like, the tiniest watermark in the world. Now, the 72 might be related to the Kabbalah, a form of Jewish mysticism, or maybe something Christian. I don't know, like, it just seems a little pointless to me. I was trying to look for pictures of this magnified eye and didn't find any. Maybe I'm just bad at researching, but you would think it would be something so hard to find. Like, everything I found was Photoshop, so I don't know. Honestly, I don't get this theory. It just seems kind of random and pointless. I like the theory that it's a self-portrait if you were a woman, more honestly. And I think people just like reading a little bit too much into Da Vinci's work. Like, maybe he just wanted to paint a girl, you know? Okay, next theory is that the Last Supper hides a musical secret. Seeing as this article referenced Da Vinci Code before, not surprised that the Last Supper is here. So many theories surrounding it too, which once again, can you imagine if Da Vinci just like painting everything literally and nothing had any secret meaning or weird codes, and people here in the 21st century are just wasting their time coming up with all these crazy ideas. But anyways, no hate, no hate. This theory is how apparently there's a musical score hidden in the bread rolls on the table in the Last Supper. Yep, you heard me right. It's in the bread. Finally, conspiracy theory about bread. Love that. In 2007, Giovanni Maria Pala, a computer technician, discovered that the bread rolls on the painting looked like musical notes. I don't see it honestly, but okay. So he drew a musical staff across the painting to see what these notes were. If you play it from left to right, it makes no sense, but from right to left is where it's at. Now, it's not only the bread, the hands of the apostles apparently are also part of this. We get a 40-second hymn of God that Pala described as like a soundtrack that emphasizes the passion of Jesus, whatever that means. The director of the Museo Ideale in Vinci, a province in Florence where Leonardo da Vinci was born, Alessandro Vesozzi, confirmed that da Vinci was a musician as well as a painter, sculptor, and inventor. And people say that music is too perfect to be a coincidence. Vesozzi, I don't know how to pronounce that name. Sorry, Italian grandfather. Anyways, he said there's always a risk of seeing something that is not there, but it's certain that the spaces are divided harmonically. Where you have harmonic proportions, you can find music. I'm sure you're wondering what it sounds like, so here I have it for you. I don't know. Once again, I don't know anything, but it's very interesting, and I guess it does sound interesting. Maybe if unlike me, you actually know anything about music, you let me know what you think about it. Rembrandt and Vermeer traced their masterpieces. Oh, so we're getting a callback to the last video here, tracing. Wow. I'm glad we don't get another Da Vinci or Michelangelo now. Rembrandt and Vermeer are two of my favorite painters. I like dark paintings personally, and by dark I don't mean like dark theme, although I do enjoy those too. I mean paintings that use a lot of darker colors and tons of shadows. As I mentioned in the last video, tracing is more common than people think, but I don't know about this theory honestly. In 1604, there was a device that projected real-life images onto a nearby surface called camera obscura. It was basically an early camera, and it's actually a super cool thing to do. My teacher did it for us in photography class years ago, and it was just super neat thing. Try it out if you can. Science is cool. Anyways, this theory posed by painter David Hockney says that Rembrandt and Vermeer used a similar device to create their lifelike paintings. Actually, he thinks many 17th century artists used it. After he compared the projection trace drawings of Andy Warhol with 19th century drawings by Jean-Dominique Ingres, I can't pronounce anything, I'm so sorry. He saw a lot of similarities, and that's how he came up with the theory. The art community was like, no way. But researcher Team Jennison, along with magicians Penn and Teller, team up to do a little project. They built a set to match Vermeer's The Music Lesson and set up a camera obscura. The results are pretty similar, but how can they not be? I don't know. I think it's a weird project. Of course they were going to be similar. Personally, I don't believe this. There's no evidence at all that they were even aware such technology existed. And I mean, they can just have, a really good reference. Just they were looking at what they were painting. I don't know. I don't believe this. I don't know personally. Like, there's no evidence at all that they were even aware of such technology. And I feel like it would be such an extra unnecessary step since they were both great painters. Also, I feel like if camera obscura was used for this and it was used in more paintings, there would be a lot more evidence of artists using it for this exact purpose. In my opinion, this is a stretch, but let me know what you think. Okay, next theory is that Francisco Goya didn't paint his infamous black paintings. Another one of my favorite painters. This article just trying to ruin everyone for me, it seems. Francisco Goya is someone I love for mainly the same reasons as Vermeer and Rembrandt, with the added bonus on some pretty nightmare-fueled paintings. Here's the thing. Goya was known for very traditional portraits and war scenes. Then he suffered from an undiagnosed illness which left him deaf. Afterwards, his work became dark and pessimistic. I said that very cheerfully, but I'm sure it was terrible. He decorated the walls with dark nightmarish visions and would paint the now famously known black paintings. Saturn devouring his son being his most famous one. Still debating whether I'm gonna show it because it's nightmare fuel and I don't think YouTube is gonna like it. This theory posed that Goya might not have painted this series. The story says that Goya signed his house to his grandson Mariano and moved to France, and Mariano found the paintings after Goya's death. Juan Jose Junquera, an art historian, doesn't believe in this. Goya still received visitors while he was in his house, and no one ever saw the hard-to-miss paintings. Only one inventory mentions them, published in 1928, and it claims to be reading in the 1820s, but Junquera thinks it's fake, since a lot of the descriptions of the objects sound very contemporary. Another thing to take into account is that the house originally was only one story, a second one added in 1830. The black paintings were found in both floors, but the upper level was added 2 years after Goya's death. Juliet Wilson Barreau, a Goya expert, believes Javier Goya, his son, was the real painter. The article suggests that maybe he knew his father's technique, and since he never made money as an artist, he used the death of his father to sell his own work. This theory was rejected by another Goya scholar named Nigel Glendining. I gotta say, out of all the theories I've talked about so far, this one doesn't seem that far-fetched. I don't know if I believe it though. It was pretty well known that Goya's mindset completely changed after his illness, and I'll never understand the idea that painters can't change styles. Look at Picasso's work, for example. I think there's an easy explanation to finding paintings on the second floor. Someone moved them. Like, it's not a stretch at all to say that maybe someone saw these paintings and was like, what the fuck, and moved them to the second story where they were probably less visible. Also, records can be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. I was also looking to see if I could find some paintings by Javier Goya and didn't find anything. You'd think that seeing the popularity of the black paintings, he would make more, or at least have other known paintings. But actually, no one knows Javier's profession, and I just find that weird. So personally, I don't know. What do you think? I know I've been asking, what do you think about all of them, but like, seriously, let me know what you think. So I know I'm gonna pronounce this name wrong, so don't roast me, okay? Because people always roast people who pronounce his name wrong. Like, I don't know how, I can't pronounce this because the actual pronunciation is Vincent van Gogh or something like that, and I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that. I try, but I can't, so I'm gonna pronounce it the American way, and I apologize. Vincent, I'm sorry, I've dishonored you, but I love your paintings, so I'm sorry. This is the last theory I'm gonna discuss today. The Cafe Terrace in 9 is secretly an homage to the Last Supper. That's what this theory poses. The Cafe Terrace in 9 shows the scene of a cafe. Jared Baxter, an independent researcher, says there's some religious symbol concealed in this painting. I'm gonna quote from the article. The waiter seems to have long hair, and his white uniform resembles Jesus' white tunic. Crucially, 12 diners sit at the table around him. There's also a shadowy figure on the existing stage left. Taken together, Baxter thinks the composition echoes Da Vinci's Last Supper. Is this far-fetched? Well, Van Gogh wrote to his brother Theo about it, explaining that he had a quote-unquote tremendous need for, shall I say the word, for religion. There is also a large cross in the window behind Waiter Jesus. This theory is backed up by numerous other experts like historian Bill Klaus. Also, Japanese art historian Tsukasa Kodera mentioned in his book about Van Gogh that he did use Christian symbols in the painting The Sower, where the setting sun sits behind the painting subject as a halo. UCLA professor Deborah Silverman says in her book Van Gogh and Gough, I can't pronounce that name either. I'm sorry if I butchered the name. Van Gogh and Gauguin, The Search of Sacred Art. Van Gogh's art has evolved by 1888 into a symbolist project that can be called sacred realism. Now the craziest thing is, while researching this theory, I found even more theories, and I kind of want to share them with you, so listen up. Pulitzer Prize winning author Stephen Neifit and Gregory White Smith claim in their biography, Van Gogh, The Life, that he didn't commit suicide. He was killed in the fields of Auvers, pronouncing that wrong for sure, by accident by a group of youths brandishing a pistol. That's wild if it's true. It seems a lot of what we know about Van Gogh is being disputed, but who really knows? Hans Kaufman and Rita Wildensgassen, pronounce that wrong probably. They're the authors of Van Gogh's Ear, Paul Gauguin, and The Pact of Silence. They think that this was Goggins who served his ear during an argument, and the artist decided to keep it silent. I'm sorry if I'm butchering all the names. Roast me if you want, I don't care. Just roast me. That is not all though. In 2011, Amsterdam Van Gogh's museum announced that his 1887 self-portrait was in fact a portrait of his brother Theo. I swear, as many of the other things in this list, I could just make a video of Van Gogh theories. Well, I'm leaving this series here for now. I'm sure I could find a ton more to talk about, but this video is already long enough. If that's something anyone is interested in, just let me know. If there's any other art conspiracy theories you know about, they don't have to be like only paintings and art history. There can be something wild. I don't know. Just tell me in the comments. I'm always in the search for new theories, and I know some of these are really out there, but we're constantly questioning what we know about history, so why not question what we know about art history? That's the beauty of it, right? We don't know history. Well, is that the beauty of history? I should say more like, fuck history. No, but really, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. I'm really appreciative, and just let me know whatever. And I'll see you on the next video. Have a good day, good night, good fight. Bye.